Welcome. We are going to talk today about some of the Schoology instructional expectations. We are going to talk about user experience design and how that relates to our Schoology courses, what we can do with the feedback we've been receiving from all of our stakeholders, as well as review the Schoology instructional expectations and go over some resources and support. A few notes for you. The first semester course will need to be saved to your resources. This is a link to a video on how to save to a resource collection. You'll need to do that on January 29th at the end of the first semester. The Schoology courses for second semester will appear on January 30th. And we do look forward to next year being able to take our first semester courses and import what we did this year into our course next year. And that should be a huge time saver for us, that we can spend some time in the adjustment process that we're going to talk about today. So this is one of the things that we start every topic with, our successes. We cannot stress enough the amount of great things we're doing connecting with our students all over our district. We know that when students are connected, they are more successful in general, whether they're in-person or virtual students. The connection that they feel with the teachers and with other students in the class really gets them coming back day after day. Our students, teachers, and families have exhibited great resilience during this 11 months. Persistence has been a needed characteristic. If you consider where we were 11 months ago, we didn't know much about the COVID virus. It hadn't quite hit the States yet. And now, fast forward to where we are now and the things that we've been able to accomplish thus far in our journey. I would say that the technology that we have available to us today has opened up the possibilities that would not have even existed 5 years ago. The teaching force has been tasked with a huge amount of change in these 11 months, and we have risen to that task. Every single person is working extremely hard, and we know that. And we want to celebrate those successes and thank you for that work. After we celebrate successes, we always come back to our why. To put it simply, we're on a learning journey. We are continuously pursuing growth for all students. All of our students, especially now, are coming in with many different experiences and are on many different levels. A couple of years ago in Hays CISD, we did some strategic planning, and one of the things we created was a profile of a learner and a profile of an educator. When looking at these two profiles, we pulled out a couple of the characteristics on the learner profile that are really important for our students in this current environment. Our students need to be able to problem solve. They must have a strong work ethic and display that effort and resilience and persistent when things don't go their way. Inevitably, with technology, we have hiccups, we have connectivity issues, and we have to be able to work through those. And our students and teachers and families have shown that resilience. A third characteristic is demonstrating confidence and to be able to advocate for themselves. In our current teaching environment, if a student gets to come into your room, that helps them with that connection and to be able to advocate because they're in your room. When they are at home virtually, there's another layer of complexity there that we need to help our students understand how important it is for them to own their learning. Our teachers are wearing many hats. We've got the student hat, we've got the teacher hat, the parent hat. We have some teachers doing both in-person and virtual at the same time. Some of our teachers also have students in the district, and so they're teacher parents. And we are tasked with many of these roles. What we want to focus on for the next time is our virtual students and the experience that they have in our courses.
So to frame that, we're going to watch a video so we can talk about what the user experience actually feels like. I will let you know that this is an adult video. There is some language in it, and they've bleeped out some of it not. But we felt it was really important to set the tone or kind of create the mindset that we want you to be in as we talk about the student user experience. So as you're watching this video, think about what personal encounter you have had with user design that stood out for you. Be thinking about that. We may give you a couple of examples of things that have happened to us after the video.
You ever get this door wrong?
Pretty regularly.
Have you seen people misuse it?
All the time, every day. Constantly. I hate this door.
Me too, Kelsey. But here's the thing. As soon as you start looking for confusing doors, they are everywhere.
It's push.
Why?
I feel like Roman Mars would know about this.
This is 99% invisible. And those doors you hate are called Norman doors.
What's a Norman door?
Don Norman wrote the essential book about design. He is the Norman of the Norman door.
All right, and where is this guy?
You must go to San Diego.
Okay. Hi, Joe. Hey.
I'm Don Norman. It's hard to describe what I am.
Well, he's been a professor of psychology, professor of cognitive science, professor of computer science, a vice president of advanced technology at Apple. But for our purposes,
I was spending a year in England, and I got so frustrated with my inability to use the light switches and the water taps and the doors even, that I wrote this book.
If I continually get a door wrong, is it my fault?
No. In fact, if you continually get it wrong, it's a good, and if other people continually get it wrong, good sign that it's a really bad door.
a Norman door is one where the design tells you to do the opposite of what you're actually supposed to do, or gives the wrong signal and needs a sign to correct it.
Why does it need an instruction manual? That is, why do you have to have a sign that says push or pull? Why not make it obvious?
It can be obvious if it's designed right.
There are a couple of really simple, basic principles of design, and one of them I'll call discoverability. When I look at something, I should be able to discover what operations I can do.
The principle applies to a whole lot more than doors.
And it's amazing with many of our computer systems today. You can look at it, there's no way of knowing what's possible. Should I tap it once or twice, or even triple tap? So discoverability, when it's not there, well, you don't know how to use something.
Another is feedback.
And so many times there's no feedback. You have no idea what happened or why it happened.
And these principles form the basis of how designers and engineers work today, commonly known as user or human-centered design.
I decided at one point the word user was a bit degrading. Why not call people people? And it's amazingly simple and amazingly seldom practiced. We call it iterative because it sort of goes around in a circle. We go out and we observe what is happening today. We observe people doing the task. And from that, we say, oh, we have some ideas. Here's what we should perhaps propose to do.
Then you prototype your solution and test it.
Quite often, these are wrong at first. But each time we go around the circle, we do a better job of making the device until the point we're actually making something that really works.
And this process has spread all over the world.
And it turns out it's improving lives.
From better everyday things like the ones that Don wrote about,
To using the same process to solve huge problems in public health in developing countries.
water,
Sanitation,
farming.
lots more. So what'd be a better human-centered door?
An ideal door is one that as I walk up to it and walk through it, I'm not even aware that I had opened the door and shut it. So if you had a door which had a flat plate, what could you do? Nothing. The only thing you can do is push. So see, you wouldn't need a sign. A flat plate, you push.
This kind of push bar with the piece sticking out on one side works well too, so you can see what side you're supposed to push on.
The vertical bars could go either way. A simple little hand thing, though, sort of indicates pull.
But we still have terrible, terrible doors in the world. So many of them.
There are lots of things in life that are fairly standardized, and therefore, whether I buy this house or not is not a function of whether it has good doors in it. And so, except for safety reasons, doors tend not to be improved.
But the tyranny of bad doors must end.
I think that it's a
So I love this video because I love thinking about design. Emily, what are some bad doors in your life?
So I actually do have a door experience, like a true door experience. As a volleyball coach at Hayes for a number of years, we would key the doors so that the athletes running from fourth period class over to the gym could get in, get dressed so we could have practice. And so the first couple of times I did this, I would key the right door. And by right, I mean on the inside of the doors, I would key the right one because you go out the right door, right? And I didn't consider that the athletes are running in the other right door, the one from the outside. And so I was always keying the right door, not realizing it's the left door for them. And I hear banging every single day, open the door. And I'm like, I already keyed the door. And then I realized, wait a second, they're coming in the other side. So I need to key that door, not the one I've been keying. I ended up just keying them both so that they could come in whatever door they needed to, as long as they got to practice on time.
So it really wasn't their fault. It was kind of a flaw in your design thinking.
It was, yeah, absolutely. I was not thinking from their perspective at all. I was thinking from my perspective of, I leave through the right door.
Well, I'm speaking to you women out there. If you've been to a big event, an event center, and stood in the long women's bathroom line, while the men's line has nobody standing in it, you automatically think, okay, a man designed this bathroom, because they weren't thinking about how women use the bathroom compared to themselves. And so that's one that I think of. Also, I liked his comparison to when he was in England. One of the things that drives me nuts, half of my family's over there. And so when we go over there, how they've got the hot water tap and the cold water tap are separate. And if you want to wash your face with warm water, you have to fill the basin with both. You have to turn on both taps. You can't just get warm water, or you're washing your hands and you're either burning them or you're freezing them. And to me, that just doesn't even make sense. So with that, we want to set that up in thinking about how we design the student experience with our Schoology courses, with the user in mind, with our students in mind. How do we make sure that something that seems obvious to us may not be obvious to them? And so this concept of iteration is not a new one. In fact, you use this all the time in your teaching practice. We've taken this and applied it, this iterative design, and applied it to our teaching practice and represented it through this graphic. And we tend to do a really great job of designing and planning, and then we implement. But one of the things that always is a shortfall is the feedback and the analysis, because we are in such a rush to get through our curriculum. We've got so much to teach that sometimes we don't have time to really get feedback from our students and think about our design and iterate on our design. We miss that part of the cycle. And that is such a critical piece to improving our practice, improving our design, and helping our students have a better experience. This year, we are using something new. We're using Schoology LMS, and we started the year. I know this is tagged as a Schoology training. You're thinking, oh, I've already done so many Schoology trainings. But at the beginning of the year, we were really just getting used to just the basic functions of Schoology. We just had to get in there and do it. But we're halfway through the year now, and it's time for us to start looking at what we're doing and how can we refine that process? How can we improve it? We've gotten feedback from our students, our parents, and now it's time to go into this cycle of iteration to improve our design for our student experience.
And Tracy, that's one of the things I'm probably most excited about, being able to save our first semester courses so that next year, when we pull those courses in, we can get into this process a little bit faster because our lift of content creation is a little bit lighter, potentially. We might get some feedback that the students that we have don't need the skills that we've planned for, and we might have to make some new assignments and new lessons. But I think we'll be able to really get through the cycle a lot more because the heavy lifting of designing and implementing into the new LMS isn't going to be as much of a lift next year.
Next year is going to be a whole new ballgame because we will have those things under our belt and can really focus on good design for our students. And how do we connect this to our teaching experience? Well, we are designers and we design learning experiences for our students every week within our content area. We design collaborative group experiences. We design the interface for our digital content, our problem solving activities, our projects, our mini lessons, our whole group instruction, and how we want students to participate maybe in small group instruction or independent practice. We're always thinking about those kinds of things as we design the student experience. Now we're shifting, we're also having to consider what our virtual learners are experiencing because it's completely different from our kids that are here with us at school. And we have to be cognizant of that, and we have to design intentionally to meet their needs in a different learning environment. And we can't just assume that all the things that happened before when they were here with us can be replicated in their home environment. We have to think through that by putting on a student hat and experiencing it as them in their home. As I stated, we're all designers. We design lessons, the flow, the pacing, the structure, our activities. We have to think about communication, both written and communication when we're presenting, because we may be presenting video lessons, or how we're communicating with our parents about the expectations for our course. Our interpersonal and intrapersonal relationships are things that we need to design for. The organization, the technology, and the space in our classroom. It's a craft, so we're constantly rethinking what we're doing and trying to improve on it. That's one of the things I love about teaching, is just that whole design process. We really are artists of a sort, and so we always want to be reflective in our practice. I'm going to end it here. We're going to pause. We're going to take a break, and we're going to then have a part 2. So at this time, you will close out this video, and you will go to part 2 to learn about the next chunk of information.